Imagine two people. The first person takes out a loan to buy the newest luxury SUV. Every month, the car loses value, but the loan payment stays the same. The second person takes out a loan to buy an apartment building. Every month, tenants pay rent, the property gains value over time, and the loan slowly gets paid off. Both people borrowed money. One becomes poorer, the other becomes wealthier. So here's the real question. Why do the rich love debt while everyone else is taught to fear it? The answer might completely change the way you think about money. Let's talk about the biggest lie about debt. From childhood, most of us hear the same advice. Never borrow money. Debt is dangerous. Stay away from loans. And honestly, for many people, that's good advice because most people use debt to buy things that lose value. Cars, phones, designer clothes, vacations. The moment these things are purchased, they're worth less than what was paid for them. The loan remains, but the value disappears. This is called bad debt. It takes money out of your pocket every month, and that's exactly why millions stay trapped in the paycheck to paycheck cycle. Let's talk about the debt the rich actually use now. Let's look at what wealthy people do. Instead of borrowing to buy liabilities, they borrow to buy assets. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. It could be rental property, a business, productive equipment, or investments that generate long-term returns. Imagine borrowing $500,000 to buy a rental building. The tenants pay rent every month. That rent covers the loan payment, the maintenance, and still leaves extra cash. At the same time, the property may increase in value over the years. The debt is slowly disappearing, but the asset keeps becoming more valuable. This is how debt starts working for you instead of against you. Here, talk about the secret called leverage. The rich use something called leverage. Leverage simply means using borrowed money to control a much larger investment. Let's say you have only $100,000. You could buy one small property, or you could use that money as a down payment and control a $500,000 property with a mortgage. If that property increases by 10%, its value grows by $50,000. Not just $10,000. That's the power of leverage. Of course, leverage also increases risk. If the investment fails, losses become larger too. That's why successful investors don't borrow blindly. They calculate every risk before taking debt. Let's talk about why banks treat rich people differently. Here's something surprising. Banks actually like lending money to wealthy people. Why? Because wealthy people usually have valuable assets, stable income, and a history of paying loans. Banks know these borrowers are less risky. The rich understand something most people never realize. Cash is limited. Debt allows them to keep their cash invested while using someone else's money to buy more assets. In other words, they let money work harder instead of letting it sit idle. Let's talk about the biggest mistake everyone else makes. Many people hear this idea and think, so I should borrow money and invest in stocks. Not so fast. This is where many people get into trouble. Borrowing money to make risky investments can destroy years of savings. The rich don't simply borrow. They borrow carefully. They study the investment. They calculate the cash flow. They prepare for bad situations. And they always have a backup plan. Debt isn't magic. Used carelessly, it becomes a financial trap. Used wisely, it can become a powerful financial tool. Now see the real-life examples. Think about some of the world's biggest real estate investors. Many large commercial buildings, hotels, apartment complexes were never purchased with cash alone. They were financed. Business owners do something similar. Instead of waiting 10 years to save enough money, they borrow to expand today. If the business earns more than the loan costs, the business grows faster. This doesn't mean every loan is good. It simply shows that debt itself isn't the enemy. How it's used makes all the difference. Think about good debt versus bad debt. Here's an easy rule to remember. Ask yourself one question before borrowing. Will this loan help me earn more money in the future? Or will it simply cost me more money every month? If it buys an asset that generates income, it may be productive debt. If it only buys something that loses value, it's probably bad debt. This simple question can completely change your financial future. The rich don't become wealthy because they borrow more. They become wealthy because they borrow smarter. They understand risk. They buy assets instead of liabilities. They make cash flow work for them, and they never confuse expensive lifestyles with real wealth. Debt is like fire. Used carelessly, it can burn everything. Used with knowledge and discipline, it can build incredible wealth. So the next time someone says debt is always bad, remember this: the world's wealthiest investors don't ask, should I use debt? They ask, Can this debt buy an asset that pays for itself? And that single question has made the difference between ordinary finances and extraordinary wealth. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who wants to understand how money really works. Because sometimes, the biggest financial lesson isn't how to earn more money. It's learning how money itself is used by the people who already have it.